My name is Stephen Wheeler. I'm the Assistant Director of Development for Leadership Gifts and Strategic Planning. The DRD program was put in place by THQ thereabouts 3 years ago. They had identified a pool of donors, those who were at $1,000 and higher. There were huge opportunities to stop these folks from lapsing and to grow their gifts. Most donors who fit the profile of $1,000 and higher, they had received direct mail pieces. Maybe they had received nothing. They'd come to us just by giving us a white mail gift because we're a trusted charity. Donor relations directors seek to take that to a whole different area. They want to develop a one-on-one relationship with the donor. They want to share the Salvation Army story. They want to hear the donor story, and then they want the donor to see what the Salvation Army does in our facilities day in and day out, to see their dollar at work right there in their community. So I'm sitting at my desk the other day, and the phone rings. It's a local number, 913, so Kansas side of the state border. And I pick it up. I have no idea who's on the other end of the phone. It's a donor who asks if I have a minute for them to share their story with me. Absolutely, I'd love to hear your story. They wrote a check for $100 and they sent it off to the Salvation Army. She said in all these years, some 34 years now, I've never heard from the Salvation Army, but every year I've sent a check anyways. It's been about that same tune for each of these years. Of late, they've increased their donations. She said that not long ago, she received a phone call. It was from someone who introduced himself as a donor relations director, and they really wanted to thank me for what I've been doing. They hope for the opportunity for us to meet, and we welcome the opportunity. So she proceeds to tell me that after a handful of visits with this DRD, that she's invited to go on her first site tour, and this was to a program called Honk and Holler. Honk and Holler is something we do here in Kansas City where we take a EDS canteen, we go and hit the streets, honk the horn when we get under the bridges where folks are spending their night, and then serve them a meal. This was a neat experience, but really what she was so happy to tell me about was the very next tour that they did, which was to the KCK Corps. And at this tour, what made this so special to her was that she met her first ever Salvation Army officer there. This officer walked her through the Corps facility and described all of the different programs that they do. And she said the level of care and compassion that he used when he would talk about what they did, the things that they saw firsthand that were taking place with disadvantage from their own community happening in that facility while they were there. They were so deeply moved. So she tells me this story right after coming back from a cruise. She said, literally, I'm calling you, this is my first day back. To think that back at home, the disadvantaged in our community were being treated with the same level of dignity that we were being treated, and we had paid so much money to be out on this cruise. And ultimately, in their conversation, she tells me, you know, we don't know what more we're going to do, but we know that we're going to do more for the Salvation Army. The reason we tell you this story today is because this is exactly why the DRD program exists, to take a donor who has never heard from the Salvation Army and to ultimately make our story their story. We want you to do two things with us. Invite us into your core activities. Take a DRD along with you into advisory council, into core council. Invite them to come and see firsthand what you're doing in your core, so that ultimately they know how to bridge donors from your area into the things you're doing. Together, we'll be able to grow this DRD program and your resources.